In 2005, my father contacted me and said that he was coming down from Gauteng to Cape Town because he needed to see a doctor. He asked me to fetch him from the airport and take me to the medical facility at Panorama. And at this facility, he would see Dr. Wouter Basson, who was the head of the South African Biological and Chemical Warfare Program under the apartheid era called Project Coast. Now, my father needed to see him because he believes that he was a victim of some of toxins that was produced by this chemical and biological weapons program, and he believed that Wouter Basson was the one person that could give him the treatment he needed to stay alive for as long as possible. He also confirmed to me that whatever it is that he, as he called it, was poisoned with, would cause you to have a stroke or a heart attack, and you will not be able to see that some toxin actually caused it. It would look to a normal doctor as if you had had a heart attack or just a normal stroke. In this video, I will show you excerpts around Project Coast that you need to be aware of. And what you need to be aware of most is, firstly, that it was real, that there's endless documentations and books on this, that one of the targets was to produce a substance through botulinum, which is one of the most dangerous toxins known to man, to kill large masses of people. They successfully did this and even enhanced these toxins for it to take quite a long time before they are detected. Another thing that was worked on was what was called an ethnic weapon. And I want people to be aware of this. If people plan to do this then, do you think that some of these plans are still afoot? And do you think that we need to be, firstly, aware, and secondly,
destroyed those organizations in the world that could help us with technology? And of course they were mostly in the UK, in America, odd few stations in Europe. And we then visited these places, explained to them what was our problem, what our problem was, and then of course we told them what the information that we needed, and we then eventually got some of the information from them. The rest we bought, borrowed and stole. Strangely enough, in America and in the UK, the help that came from there was ideological. I met Mr. Kelly on three or four occasions, from a pure information exchange point of view. The little contact I had with him, I found him to be an intelligent, honest, keen fella who really cared about his work. That I can't answer, but we did meet him on a few occasions. No, I wouldn't like to, but I mean, you know, the next question that I get asked is who arranged it and why and what and where, and then, you know, I already have hassles with the UK and the American governments. I don't need any more, thank you, it's enough for me. But suffice to say, we went there with no objective of ever doing any damage to either the UK or the USA. Our sole objective was to make sure or to determine what they could do to help us and how we could enhance our own program based on their knowledge.
The people who knew Larry Ford in his neighborhood, they had no idea what he was up to, that he was working with the South African Germ Warfare Program. Larry Ford was messing around with chemical biological warfare.
Larry was a wonderful fellow, mad as a hatter. He used to rock up in South Africa having flown intercontinental flights with a trousers pocket full of goodies in sealed vials that he claimed were new and wonderful organisms and could do the most wonderful things on Earth.
Larry Ford had mutated cholera, typhoid, anthrax, botulism, bubonic plague, and had also come up with germs that he called killing germs. For as you may know, in Afrikaans is the equivalent of the N-word. So these were germs that were specifically engineered to kill only people.
In other words, an ethnic biological weapon. From the beginning, this idea of can we find a way to control the size of the population was considered one of the most important areas of research. It got even more important over time as the size of the population and the seriousness of the uprisings increased. So that's one reason why they got into genetic modification, research into is there a way to have contraceptives that could somehow basically sterilize without them knowing it, and kind of all kinds of what at the time or in hindsight seemed like pretty far out research.
That was great. Yeah, that was the most fun I've had in my life. That whole episode of the ethnic weapon was very well set out in court, in the court papers. What happened is we had the objective to synthesize a certain protein that was in sperm for contraceptive purposes. The objective was that if you could immunize a woman against sperm, then you would make her infertile. We were asked to do this by another country who had a population explosion problem as part of an exchange of technology. They were giving us other stuff. They asked, well, we haven't got the time or the place to do that. Will you guys do that?